Hey guys, welcome back to another Flesh and Blood video. This video is proudly brought to you by the House of Cards, the official sponsor of my stream. Be sure to check out the link in the description below for all of your Flesh and Blood needs. Bravo and Uzuri are two decks that I'm really expecting to see a lot of play at Nationals this year, and so I'm trying to be prepared to play with and against both of those decks. I feel like Bravo and Uzuri is a very interesting matchup, and it really kind of goes to show like how well you know each side of the matchup, and I don't know. So I feel like this game really highlighted some of the strengths and weaknesses of both decks, and I feel like it kind of like pinpointed like where each hero can gain advantages if they're doing things correctly and playing well. I appreciate you guys stopping by, and I hope you enjoy the video, guys. Oh, great heavens. Good lord, that's terrible. Absolute dog water. Yeah, that's not a hand we were looking for. What is this? Reaction cards? Okay, so their hand is... They're probably just gonna do this and then pass, if I had to guess. Arsenal their last card. So let's go Command and Conquer, and we're still representing Pummel, which I like. Now it's probably less Pummel-y represented. It's probably less representative of Pummel considering the way I pitched, but I do think we're still representing Pummel in a way that makes them have to respect it. And I realize I'm saying this as my opponent just literally had absolutely zero respect for it, unless they just have a reinforced line in their hand, which is a possibility. What's the smallest number of creature/monster cards you've ever seen in a viable Flesh and Blood deck? So Icelander is a deck that plays like all like spells for the most part. Like she doesn't really play attacks. And some of her decks have literally zero in them. So like it's all like hero dependent, but if I had to guess, I would say most of them, most decks are composed of creatures, like attack actions is what they're called. But some decks have zero, which is kind of cool. We're just going to go ahead and put the Unmovable into play here. We'll make another Surge, throw Command and Conquer, and then I might actually just make a Surge with... might just throw Hammer here. Might be a better play for me. Yeah, it's kind of cool that like certain decks can win without attacks in them. Like there's another hero called Kano that also has like zero attacks in his deck 9 times out of 10. And I personally think it's a really cool like effect. Like I think it's really cool like deck building and like different ways for the game to be played. And I really enjoy that. So this feels like Sink Below and feels like Sink Below, throw Crippling Crush. So we're gonna do it this way because if our opponent activates Uzuri, we get to play play Sink Below. I have no idea why they activated Tunic there. I could just staunch this. Like staunching this is fine. This is for 6. And from where I'm sitting currently, I take nothing. We get to make a surge with the Crippling Crush and then throw the hammer yet again. And then we get to arsenal my sink below. Like, so I had to use a little bit of equipment block there, but I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, I think I'm playing the game against Uzuri the way I need to be playing it. They play a lot of defense reactions, and so like just throwing my big attacks is not going to win me the game consistently. I have to play this defensive style of Bravo and then take my big hard-hitting turns when they really come in. Like, this turn's probably going to be block and then play sink below if I had to guess. Like, that's probably... Like, if I block with Debilitate here... I can play my sink below. Put my Thunderquake on the bottom. And then we have... It was like, interesting. My opponent activates Uzuri. I'm going to play the sink below. Like, so the cool thing about that works out for us is when they play the Uzuri, they have to take... when they activate the Uzuri, they have to put the card into play, which is nice for us. Works out pretty conveniently. So, again, I'm just going to make a surge and throw the hammer. Like, I'm getting ready to go up to 62 cards, and then I'm going to go down to 58. So, I'm currently up 6 cards on my opponent every turn cycle. And I'm just going to keep whittling away at their life total with the hammer. Like... Uzuri's kind of gone away from like the spreading plagues and like the other random things like that. So they're playing. This is definitely a red line list. The fact that they opened Crown of Providence, Flick Knives, and Whispers tells me that they're playing more of like an aggro based list. So gives us a little bit more knowledge of where we want to be. Like, my opponent chose his go again here. So I'm just going to block with Showtime. So I'm just going to block 6 here. I have no reason to do anything else. Surge is going to go off. I'm going to play Sigil, go to 38, and then pass. And so now I have to say, instead of being up 6 cards, I'm now at 4 cards, which is okay because the Uzuri does like to play... The Uzuri likes to play a fatigue-ish style of deck, so... I'm going to take the Hurl here because it's basically just negating my Sigil. And I have Chokeslam Pummel, which is kind of cool because I do play some pumps and some random things here and there. So it's not like it's the end of the world, but we'll see what my opponent Uzuri's in here. If they activate Uzuri, I'm going to pitch... I'm going to pitch Fighting Spirit. Actually, I'm going to pitch Diplomacy. I lied. I'm going to pitch Fighting Spirit. And I'm just going to play my Staunch Response. I have 1 left in my deck, but we're just kind of like using our defensive cards as they come in. Surgical Extraction. Okay, like, Surgical Extraction can randomly get us here and there. So let's make a surge, and then I'm going to play Warmonger's Diplomacy, and I'm going to choose War. My opponent chose War. I don't know if this is going to be like backbreaking against them. I know that like sometimes these decks play like Nimbalism and other stuff like that, so... So I'm just going to use Foreseen to help cover up here. I guess they can't use Uzuri. Oh, it's a reaction, so they can? Okay. Never mind. I knew that I did that way. I did it that way for a reason. Because in my head, I needed to have a reason for... Like, I needed a reason on why I did that. And what I did makes sense now. I mean... We'll just bottom the Rouse. Like, we're just trying to churn through cards here. Now, they could have, like, a Spike with Blood Rot, or, yeah, like a Shred is a good example. I was like, there's a few things they could have here that could definitely make this worth their while. They're going to shred my Crater Fist so that at the end of the combat chain, I lose my Crater Fist. At least that's what they should do. I don't know what they shredded. Okay, so they did not shred my Crater Fist. So we'll throw Crippling Crush, which is gonna get at least a card out of their hand, maybe two, depending on what their hand looks like. I hope Carly's not still asleep. It's 8:30. She'll be up all night if she's still asleep right now. It's like, do they have to have a defense reaction, right? I was like, yeah, something, because like I was like, there's no way that you're just gonna discard cards. I'm gonna go to 31. We'll go Unmovable, then Chokeslam. Wow, thought I put that on the bottom. I probably did put it on the bottom, and it just... Man, that's really bad. If he doesn't activate Uzuri, I'm just going to take one and pay for the Pox token. If my opponent does pay for... If they do activate Uzuri, then I'm going to pitch my Disable to play Unmovable to cover up what they do. I'm just kind of leaving it in their court, because either way, it pans out for me to not take any damage. So, well, I guess I'm taking one technically, but that's so irrelevant to me. I guess I could also throw 7, but I don't think that's a worthwhile... I don't think that's worth... I think I had enough for dinner. My stomach's making the rumblies that only hands could satisfy. I was like, I could play my Pummel here, but I'd rather save it for my my last Command and Conquer that we haven't seen. There's also another Pummel in my deck, so I'm just going to try and keep those cards in my deck if I can. I feel like I kind of have to treat this matchup like I did with a lot of Oldhams. Like how I treated, like, how I would play Oldham... how I'd play Oldham into a lot of these decks. So this is block with Crippling Crush. Block with Crippling Crush, throw Chokeslam for 8, and then play Sigil. Now, their hand may not allow something like that. I don't know. Like, maybe they have a Shred here. I'm just gonna block 6 and see what they do. Because all they have to do is activate a reaction. So like a Shred would be good into me right here. Like Spreading Plague is also very good. So I'm gonna get 2 Pox tokens. How many sigils have I played so far? 1. So this is sigil number 2. So I'm gonna swing 4. Guys, thanks for hanging out tonight. Appreciate y'all keeping me company on a Thursday night. Trying to get some Nats testing in, so hopefully we're getting some good testing in. I'm pretty stoked about Nats. Like, one, I love Vegas as a whole. Like, I love to gamble. I don't hide that from anybody. I love to gamble. But I'm also just like a big fan of like Vegas in general and like just hanging out. I think I'm supposed to take 3 here. I can block Starstruck Chokeslam, pitch Spinal to make a surge, pick Asunder to throw Hammer. Guess I am kind of like leaving it at them, like what they want to do at that point in time. So the problem with not having a reaction against Uzuri is that like if you're over blocking, they're just going to say, okay. Like why wouldn't they, you know? If my Chokeslam had been a blue, I probably would have blocked 3 and taken my chances because they played 2 shakedowns already. And I'm going to be honest, like they played 2 shakedowns, they played 2 death touches. Like I wasn't super worried about either one of those cards right there. Is that the 3rd sink below? It's a 3rd sink below, and we've seen a Frailty Trap, so they might also have a they might also have some Fate Foreseens, maybe some Unmovables. I don't know. Like, it depends on how aggressive they thought I was going to be playing. This is pretty much take whatever they do and pummel a Starstruck here. Make a surge, throw Starstruck for 10, and then if they block in a way that lets me hang onto the pummel, I'm going to hang onto the pummel. Like, what does this do? An Inertia token. Boo. So we're going to leave 2 floating and just kind of stare at our opponent here and make them and like, yeah, we're representing the pummel. If they block, like, you know, if they block with like all 4 cards here, then I'll just let the pummel go to the bottom of the deck. Like, there's good cards at the bottom of my deck. Like, so it's not like I need to... It's not like I need to do anything there. Ow! Getcha. So from here, like, this is coming in for 14. Like, which means they can't play... Like, unless they have, like, an Unmovable here, which I suppose is possible. No, do they just take 9? So they're taking 9, discarding a card, and then they... The only attacks they may play or activate... They click too far. The only attacks they may play or activate during the next turn are attacks with base power. So they can't use their weapons. Like... This really takes a lot of utility off the table for them. How is he playing this? I dealt 9 to him. Like, I don't think they can play that. Like, and I'm like, I mean, I'm going to ask my opponent to take it back. Like, unless they explain to me, like, how they're playing this or something like that, because it says base power, and I dealt 9 to them. Like, I'm just straight up gonna ask him, like, my opponent, like, I don't want the game to be played based on this. I don't like that. If my opponent like tells me to go pound sand, then I'm probably just gonna leave and find another game. Like, I'm not really having people like trying to play outside the scope of the game. Like, I play it's late. You can't spiders bite me either, dude. Like yeah, you can't. Nice. Okay, cool. Starstruck is just checking my opponent. Nice. I'm glad that like they coded this. Thank you, Talishar. Thank you for coding this. Because like this is the kind of stuff that I hate. Like I hate when people do garbage like this. And now I drew Command and Conquer Pummel, which is like value town for me. My opponent doesn't have Crown of Providence to bail him out here. Like, we're definitely on our way to winning this game right now, it feels like. Like, the Pummel Starstruck turn was insanely good for me. They didn't have a Shakedown or a Command and Conquer or anything else that they could have, like, put into play that could have ruined my day. But they didn't have it, and so it worked out really nicely for us. Oh, God said you love to see it. Yeah, let's go. Put my opponent to 5 points lower than us, and we're taking the value out of their arsenal from last turn. Now, this hand is premium dog trash. Like, premium dog trash. I'm going to arsenal the Staunch Response here, I think. I think that's a better play. I see I woke up at a good time. Yeah, I literally, in the middle of this game, said, man, I hope she's not asleep. Like, I hope she's still not asleep. Because I was like, God, like, you're going to be up all night. Like, you were going to be up all night. All night. So, sink below, Staunch Response, and then we can make we can throw Hammer, Arsenal, Spinal Crush. Meh, 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 meh. Great, great argument. You love to hear it. I'm just gonna say no blocks. Were you asleep this whole time? That's a yes. That's a shame walking away of yes. So if this doesn't hit, which I'm pretty confident we can stop this from hitting, they don't have Go again, which is like kind of primo for us. We could just throw Spinal Crush here. If they have a Codex, it's pretty bad for us. I think I'm just going to make a surge and throw the hammer. I'm just going to stick with the plays that have got us here. Like, we're up 9 points. Did Nick ever join the Discord? I told him we'd play games. Told him we'd play if he got on, so I don't know. I guess Nick decided he didn't want to play. Maybe he's getting on a little later. Yeah, so there's Fate Foreseen number 1. We've seen all 3 Sink Belows. No, that's Fate Foreseen number 2. They must have discarded one earlier that I missed. Sink Below, put the Starstruck on the bottom. I mean, the play's still the same here. Sink Below, put the Starstruck on the bottom. Maybe I'm supposed to Sink Below from hand to play around... to play around them having Codex here. We're just going to Sink Below here. Sink nothing. I mean, I could just take 4 and arsenal my Sink Below, but I don't think that's where I want to be. I think I'd rather just play the Sink Below and then not sink anything. So they did have a Shred, but we're taking it out of their hand as opposed to leaving them with it. So they don't get a silver off of that because they banished a blue. I mean, 9 Dominate's not for nothing. Because without you having an arsenal, dude, like, I'm not scared of you, like, really doing anything. Okay, so they're going to take 5 here. That's their last defense reaction. At least I believe it is. It's their last Sink Below and Fate Foreseen. So they go to 8. They can't... They don't have Go again here, which is pretty relevant for us. And then... I did not realize we had any Sigil of Solaces left. Gonna be honest, I thought we were out of those. I mean, yeah, dude. Like, I was like, I'll take 1 there happily if that's your only play. I honestly think I'm going to go to 12 and throw a Cranial Crush at my opponent. Maybe I'm supposed to block 6, throw Hammer, like keep my life deficit here. Yeah, let's play smart. Like, I could take 6 and throw 8, or I can take nothing and throw 4, which means my turn is a 10-point turn and then I get the Arsenal card. Now, that's pretty tough. Like, that's a pretty good card for them. There can only be 1 more of those left in their deck. Like, I don't think that my opponent will have any more in their deck. Like, I mean, I guess they could. I feel like a lot of, like, I feel like the Spreading Play card is a 1 to 2 of in most decks, but there's at least 2 in my opponent's deck, which means they could just be tired of playing against, like, Bravo and other random, like, Guardian heroes. I was like, God, I get tired of that. Okay. My opponent's going to go to 4. I'm going to go to 14, and they're going to try and, like, have a swing turn here, I think. That's it. The only thing I can come up with is that they're going to try and have a swing turn here. I guess I could have given them my Fighting Spirit and kept my Buckler. It feels like it's 6 in one, a half dozen in the other, honestly. If they play a card that like gets my arsenal, then I'll just play the Sigil. I mean, Asunder Hammer's pretty good here. I can Fate Foreseen. Or I can go to 7. No, I need to Fate Foreseen because I can't Arsenal here off the Inertia token. I need to Fate Foreseen. We'll leave that on top. Our last Command & Conquer seems pretty good there. Like, the Shred is fine. Is it obnoxious? Yeah, absolutely. But, like, we're up 4 points. We're about to be up more. 5. Dominate. Now, they could give us a card, Flick Knives in the Tunic here, which is fine. Because I'm just going to play my Sigil of Solace here. Like, they can't have any more 0 for 4 defense reactions. There are no more of them in the game of Flesh and Blood that they are able to play in their deck, I believe. Yeah, it's all the Fates and all the Sinks. I guess they're trying to hang on to that Flick Knives for dear life, which I don't really blame them for. It's a good card. Very good card at closing games out at the end of the game. We'll go to 11 here. We'll just pass. Like, we forced them to give us, like, 2 very good pieces of equipment right there. Yeah, I'm going to take 1 here because if they do throw their last card at me, like, I was like, big deal. So I could throw the Macho Grande here, and they block 3, take 5. This feels like the best play here. So looking back at this game, it's very clear to me that my opponent didn't play optimally in a lot of spots. There were times when they pitched certain things or did certain things that I feel like they could have played differently or made different decisions. I also feel like I played this game very well. I don't say that very often, but I feel like I played that game very cleanly and like very crisply. Like, Bravo is all about like taking your chances when they pop up and like, you know, like blocking and playing consistently. And I feel like I did that very effectively. Now, it does help that I had 3 red Staunch Response in my deck, and I'm also playing Fate and Sync. But I just feel like I played really well, and I took my chances when they came up, and I feel like it ended up putting me in a good spot at the end of the game. Being able to dominate Macho Grande and just like push out, like, you know, throw a dominant attack at the end of the game to help me clear out the game is like, I feel like Bravo's MO. If I missed anything or you guys feel like there were a different line I could have taken, please hit me up in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. If you guys liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe for more content. I'll see you next time, guys. Take it easy.